Welcome back, guys. My name is Demitry Sebastian.
And I'm Wes Kendall.
And we are back in session where your fitness and lifestyle questions are answered and bro science is put to the test. But I have an announcement. We've become a bowling podcast. We have now decided to completely go into a new direction. Wes is a sleeper, and it takes me about 2 hours to warm up and about a half pitcher of beer. Mm-hmm. But as long as we get those two things done before every podcast, we are going to continue to be a bowling podcast. And I think that this is a good direction for us.
We barely broke 100, but, you know.
I think 100 is about, 50 more than 50. Yeah. It's about 80 more than 20. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not that small of a number.
Yeah.
Actually, what's a good score in bowling?
300 is a perfect score.
Oh, wow, we're really bad.
Yeah.
You broke 100.
Yeah, barely.
I think I got like 92 on the on like my best round. Okay, I lied. We're probably not going to be doing bowling. But with that said, we're talking a joke about how when you go bowling, you just like suddenly find out all of the muscle groups that you don't work out at all. I woke up with like a hitch in my hip. Like I was like, why does my hip hurt? And then like I broke a nail, things like that. I was like, these guys out there, these like 40-year-old men, you're like, this is not a sport. It's like, no, curling and bowling are sports.
There are muscles involved.
There are some muscles involved.
Well, they always put the speed counter on there so people are trying to like break the land speed record with their bowling balls.
I mean, I want to know what the actual what an actual good bowling thing is. Because another thing we did, like we were just measuring, we've just become men all of a sudden, is that we went and found that punching machine.
That's terrible. Which
we all found out, because Wes and I are dumb, and we went first, and we like punched it as if we were trying to punch a face, which is apparently not the way you win. No. And then our boy Dylan of Dab Cap, he ended up winning because I said this is for Dab Cap, and apparently that was a pain point for him, and he decided to come forward and win it. And then there were like a bunch of like 17-year-old boys who were like loitering around it, and I think they conned us for some of our tokens.
Yeah.
And this kid like just he is the one who set the land speed record over there on the punching bag machine, and he put everything he had into it, and it was a very big deal for him. But now it makes me wonder, like, if they just like loiter around that punching machine, like this is like the most important thing for them. Like, is this what the kids do now?
It's like he peaked in high school. He peaked at the punching bag machine.
I mean, maybe it would be really funny to me if, like, this kid like ends up being like an important boxer at some point. It's like it all started at the speed bag. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's
too late already.
Maybe this is me not understanding the youths. I thought that I understood Tic Tacs. I thought that I understood you just do like some fun dances and then you do like that. But apparently loitering has advanced from doing it out in front of a Walmart or, inside of a Hastings. You do it next to a punching machine.
Well, we used to do it at Walmart, so,
I mean,
that's better.
I don't know. I mean, that's also where RVs and homeless people hang out, so I figured that was the place to be. But to get more on track to what we're talking about today, since we've officially walked away from our bowling careers, we're going to be talking about back.
Training those Red Bull wings.
Yeah, and we've been talking a lot about who's getting wide. Mm-hmm. There's two of us here. It's only 50% of the podcast who's getting actually broad, so I'll give you one guess. It's probably me. You're the one who has actually taught me the most about back, because it seems so obvious at first. It seems like something that is really easy to do. It's like, you just do pull downs, you sometimes do some rows, and then you do a bicep workout at the end. That's a back workout. And we learned that if you want to get those Bruce Lee wings, most people are very wrong about how to do it.
Yeah, I think they do a lot of exercises that you hear traditionally are going to get you wide, but they don't actually know how to target the lats themselves. I think that's a big part. I think, we'll talk about this later, is doing with training exercises versus thickness training exercises. And I can talk about what that means. But I think people need to focus on targeting the lats and keeping tension in the correct muscle while they're training. And that will get you that aesthetic wide look that people are looking for.
And it is funny that you say that you have to like focus, because the whole mind-muscle connection is, I think we've talked about it a long time ago, where we saw some guy like he was like poking his buddy's bicep while he's doing curls, like create mind-muscle connection. It's a goofy thing, but it kind of makes sense from a working standpoint, because I think a lot of people start getting their arms involved with stuff, shoulders, or start cranking from weird angles.
Neck is the biggest one.
And the back is one of those ones where it's like we want to involve so much of our body because it's such a wide plane. Whereas like you're doing a pull down, you're doing a bent over row, like stop trying to whip it, like lower the weight, focus where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, a lot of people have other muscles that take over. The traps are one of the biggest ones that steal your back gains.
Okay.
So I think a lot of people end up using more traps than they give themselves credit. And I think another thing that people don't do is because they don't see their back in front of them,
Yeah.
they kind of neglect it or ignore it, like, my ex-girlfriend, until they go away. So that's usually what happens.
That if as long you put that shit behind you,
Yeah.
you forget about it.
Yeah, and then eventually it disappears.
You don't need to worry about things you can't see. It's the same reason we wear pants. You don't need to have big legs as long as you continue to not wear shorts.
Yeah, then no one knows. So,
But I mean, I think that a wide back, even if you're doing bro culture and you're forgetting about all the muscles, like, you can't ignore the back. There is a place there for it.
Yes.
It matters to everybody to a certain degree because you do want to be broad. You want to have a good an hourglass shape.
well, not only that, but it helps prevent injuries from your pushing. If you're a functional person, like a functional fit person, a fighter, or say even someone in the military, you need those pulling muscles to be actually more conditioned than your pushing muscles so that you can perform those things. Like jiu-jitsu is like all pulling, or
That's true.
powerlifting is like your deadlift is like all pulling. You can't have a strong bench without having a really strong back.
Yeah.
For example, look at Arnold. He was known for his chest and biceps, but his back was fucking huge. Oh,
Exactly.
damn it. How long have we been?
I don't know. Actually,
Where's the swear jar?
what's the time
Where's
we're
the
at?
swear jar?
We're gonna get a jar. We're gonna get a jar.
Yeah. 4 more minutes.
It's okay. You're like
I
3 for
break
3
it every time.
You're 3 for 3.
Literally the worst
I love
offender.
that. I actually love that for you. It's funny because Elias was the one who was like, "You're abusing the swearing," and like Wes is just like, "Stand
No,
back. I
it's
got
like,
this
no, I
under
got it.
control."
I'll take that role.
So you are right that the back it's so important, and I think that it falls into like the core. It's one of those things. It's like a lot of people think glamour, like core, strong core, 6-pack abs, good back, broad. It's like if you don't have a strong core or strong back, you're gonna have problems everywhere else.
Yeah.
A lot of the reasons that people ignore like squats is because leg presses are easier because it takes all of those other things out. And if you have a strong back, strong core, squat can be easier, and that's when people are going to actually respect you. Because if you say like, "Oh, I can do 1,400 on the leg press," and it's like, "Congratulations, what's your squat?" And if you don't know that number, if you can do both, great, you're strong as hell, man. But if you only know like your way too high leg press and you don't know your squats, like, I am immediately suspect on your ability. It just is what it is.
It's a gap for sure.
Yeah, and I think that if you fill these things out, you can be broad like Squirtle. There you go. See, that's a perfect example.
Look, he's got a turtle shell back. That's
Exactly.
That comes from
I-
Squirtle.
I hope they knew that reference when they did that. I hope that just wasn't a design thing. So let's get into it a little bit. The thing that you were kind of wanting to talk about initially is volume.
Yeah.
We talk about volume a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't think we talk a lot about volume in far as like the regular work as a back. Like,
Yeah.
what does that mean for you?
Well, there's a couple different ways you can approach that. First off would be like training frequency. How often do you train back compared to how often do you train chest? If you're training chest twice a week and back once a week, you're kind of doing the opposite of what we're saying.
Yeah.
So one thing you can do, say you don't have time to, have multiple muscle or the same muscle group get hit multiple times a week, you can have more angles hit during your back workout than your chest workout. Because, for example, what do you need for chest? You need an incline motion, you need a flat motion, and you need a fly motion. For stretch. Okay, that base is covered. Boom.
Okay.
All right. For back, you need a lot more. So there's a lot more little muscles back there. There's actually 2 planes of motion that you need to train. So at that point, having 4 back exercises as opposed to 2 or 3 would, help increase the volume on that.
So should you be hitting these additional, we'll say supplementary, at like higher volumes, or like, because the things I always think like big muscle, lower volume unless you're doing a high volume, but if you're doing a lower volume then everything else is a higher volume, like how do you balance that out? Like, what is this a muscle group where there is a focus, or does it just depend day to day?
Well, you definitely need, that's where you get into the thickness and width discussion. So should we just get into it?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that rolls right into it.
All right, so thickness. Now, what people say when they think thickness, usually they think like, oh, I'm gonna get like, I can't fit through the door, gonna get bodybuilder lats. What that actually means is developing these smaller muscles back here that make up your back thickness between your chest and behind you. So it's like how wide you are this way as opposed
So
to
from front to back, how
this
your
way.
depth essentially.
Yes, how much depth you have in your back. Now, what you're training is the upper lat muscles on this one, the teres muscle, and the trap muscles on those. So
Okay.
it's where, as well as the rear delts. These are technically your accessories for back. Now, what a lot of people do is they'll do like pull downs where they're not super far arched, more upright. You can do the high row where you bring things down to like your chest. You can do face pulls, anything that's like bringing your arms and your elbows back, but you're not overarching and you're not pulling low to your hips. Okay. So like that's mostly hitting these smaller muscles here. Though this type of training you want to do usually like more than 8 reps. So this is our higher numbered sets, but not necessarily higher volume sets.
Now I kind of want to touch on something that you said, but it implies is you were talking about pull downs as a method to get thick, not wide.
Right.
Which is funny because I think all of us, especially early on, a lot of you are going to be like, I knew that, you're an idiot. Well, I'm an idiot, sorry. You think pull down equals wide.
Especially the extra wide pull downs. Those will get you thicker than they will get you wide.
Well, so I practically have like the hunchback of Notre Dame because I for such a long time was focusing on pull downs because I was like, this is how you get wide lats, and I had like really underdeveloped lats. Like, my lats have only recently started developing since we met, a while back. Because it was suddenly like, and we'll talk about that in a second, how to get the width, but it's funny because it's just so counterintuitive. The back is if you don't understand planes and you don't understand how those muscle groups work, it's very counterintuitive. Where that effort goes to.
It doesn't make sense like when you like look at it from a straightforward perspective. It doesn't.
Exactly. Well, let's is that everything on thickness?
Yeah, that's pretty much. Well, just to be clear, the pull downs I'm referring to are like the extra wide pull downs. A lot of the pull downs where you're stopping like at an angle. But there are pull downs that you can hit the lower lats with. Those would be like reverse grip pull downs. This is the difference. When you're trying to pull the bar down and you have your chest and elbows tucked like this, and you're almost simulating your elbows coming down to your hips, that's targeting the lower lats. When you're not doing that, when you're doing a pull down here to the side, or you're doing like a wide grip down to the chin, then what you're doing is you're actually hitting a lot of these other shoulder muscles and upper back muscles as well. So that's the main difference.
And I'd also like to point out, because we're gonna move into width, but I think that thickness should not be ignored, because I think a lot of people are gonna go straight to the glamour width, because I think width looks good with your shirt off. I call thickness. I would think that's like a good example for me is like polo muscles. Like when a guy's wearing a polo and he looks buff in a polo from his back. If a guy looks buff from behind a polo, it's because he's
thick. Those round circles in like depth mountains in his back. That's the thickness. It's like when people say they want to have like Brock Lesnar like traps and like house fucking stacked traps like The Rock. That's a lot of thickness. If
you see a guy who looks dope in a polo, I don't know why it's always a polo, because t-shirts like it's just polos do what they do.
Up here, this is thickness. This is what we're talking about right there.
You see those, you can see the mountains, you can see it back there, and then it's just like, okay, that guy works out. But then you take your shirt off, and then you do like the front pose, like, okay, that's where the width comes in. That's where people are going to start noticing. Like,
that's a good point. With the shirt off, like you don't really notice the lower lats until someone actually brings them out and does like the I need to hog the whole escalator.
Because if you do that in a normal situation in life, you look like a weirdo.
You look like a douchebag.
Even if you do, honestly, if you're at the pool and you do that, I like you less. Like, I'm just gonna go say out of the gate.
There flexing
if I see you posing, and I will know, and you're at the pool, like, just know I don't like you as much.
That's so funny.
It is what it is. So if we want to get wide, what do we actually need to focus? Because this is where I was like, oh, and it's funny because it was things I don't like doing.
Right. It's the hard back exercises that people avoid. I personally think it's harder to develop the lower lats than the upper back, and that's because it takes like really strict rigid form, and it takes like more of a mind muscle connection. I think you can just kind of like pull weight and focus on reps when you're targeting the other smaller muscles, but for this one you have to really feel a squeeze low. A lot of people even say that they feel it in their like obliques in the side down here as well, which
I'd agree with that.
It inserts all the way down in your pelvis.
Yeah, I would. There's times where I would doing like bent over rows, and I like start to like almost feel it in my hip. Where it's like I know it's like my brain being dumb, but like it does.
It inserts in your hip. The muscle inserts all the way down there. So
I'm not dumb, guys. Yes.
So you want to get it really wide. A lot of people say it's genetic, the amount of development that you have there, but from what I found, when I increased, I started rowing a lot more than I was pulling down. or doing pull-ups. And when I started doing that, my lower lats started growing.
It is slightly genetic. It's like a good example is bicep. Like some people have really like stacked biceps really high, and like some people have really long biceps.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to do with like those connections. Like Bruce Lee connected like a flying squirrel.
Yeah, it was like he had fucking
it is
wings
what
on,
it is.
He had fucking kangaroo pockets.
Yeah, and then some people connect really high, but that isn't to say that you can't still have lats. They'll just sit differently. It's not an excuse to not have lats. It's just your connection site will vary.
This is how you can tell if you're training lower lats. Like the lat spread down here is genetic to some degree, but if someone has their arm up and they have like that giant thing of meat hanging off below their elbow, you can't fake that. That's the wide lat.
It's like always like that guy who's at bodybuilding shows. There's always that one guy who has like just a massive thigh. They like smack it and like they just to show just the sheer amount of
like
density in there, and it's just like that's vaguely sexual and it's making me uncomfortable, and then like they smack it, it jiggles, and like boom, lock it in.
Yeah, like,
it's just like
shit.
It's the same thing. You're basically just like a cow going into slaughter at that point. It's just like, yeah, this guy's got the meat.
Yeah.
Angus beef hanging right off.
Exactly.
It's crazy, but
like look at Chris Bumstead's lats. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, he's a genetic marvel in his own way. He also works for it, because I saw like a picture of him before he became a bodybuilder. I was like, that's a big kid no matter what. So don't hold yourself to everybody else's standards, but at the same time, there is no excuse for having lats if you're doing the right things.
Well, you just shouldn't. Yeah. Don't skip out on your dumbbell rows and your barbell rows. That's all I'm saying.
The rows suck too. It's like being bent. We did these recently. Actually, it was it was kind of almost like a rack pull, and it was bent over rowing. And it's just like I couldn't breathe.
Oh, the ones where you touch the ground.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, pendulum rows. Those are awesome for hitting lower lats.
And it's
you're
miserable.
Stuck, forced, bent over, and you have to like stretch your arms all the way out, touch the ground.
It's uncomfortable. It sucks. You can't breathe, but it's an amazing workout.
Yeah.
It does what it does, but it's just like that is the thing that sucks. People love pull downs because they're very natural and very comfortable. Like having your arms up in the air and like nice open, like your airway is nice and open. Everything feels great. It's an easy motion. It's easy to progress on. Deadlifts and rows, it never gets easier to not breathe well.
Taking a set of pull downs to failure is completely different than taking a set of rows to failure.
Absolutely.
I'll just say that.
Absolutely.
Try that.
Yeah, exactly. But if you start doing it, you will start seeing that growth. And I would say that if right now you're thinking to yourself, like, I do have underdeveloped lats, take that advice, do the rows, bend over sometimes, get uncomfortable. They will start to grow. I personally have seen some growth myself.
Yeah.
But actually, I think it's a good time for a break.
Okay.
Let's go and do that. We will see you guys back in just a moment. This episode is sponsored by The Swear Jar.
Yes.
Because Wes is now 3 for 3 on naughty words.
3
we are
episodes in a
proud
row.
of him, though, because he's managed to use a different word every single time.
So I'm not repeating the same mistake.
Exactly. So
Here, let's count them out. Stripper dollars. 1, 2, 3. All right.
3.
Bring those
3.
tits over here.
And we're going to go ahead and put that right here.
Yeah.
And then this is now going to sit here. Everyone is now held responsible for their naughty words.
Yep.
I get paid $1 per bleep these days.
Yes.
It's
a steep rate.
And if you guys stick with us the whole episode, you realize actually anything past the 10-minute mark, it pretty much goes
free game.
It goes free game.
Yeah.
Either way, we
make 10
appreciate
minutes.
it. We appreciate it. If you guys can keep an eye on that, let us know if there's any extra cursing that we miss. If you notice that the swear jar is getting a little light, I can figure that out. Don't worry.
Yeah.
No hex, no hells.
Yeah.
If it's not in the Bible, it's a curse word.
Yeah.
So
I can't say Leviticus.
you can't say Leviticus. So as always, guys, you know where to find us. We're at BNS_radio on YouTube. We're BNS_radio on Instagram. Please give us a like, give us a subscribe, hit the alert button on your thing. Tell your friends, tell your family. You can find us on Instagram. You can find me at Demitry Sebastian.
You can find me at WKendall_MFT on Instagram.
We love you. We care about you. Wes promises that he will either fill this with a lot of money and buy us lunch, or he'll stop saying naughty words, whichever comes first. I have my bet on what's going to happen, and I think that I want to go to Chipotle.
Yeah.
That's what I think I'm going to get. I mean,
Whoa,
it's
aim
like,
a little higher. Maybe we can go to like Firebird.
I mean, if you're going to send, I don't know how many bad words you're planning on saying. I was thinking like a $7 bowl. That gives you, like, over the course of the next few episodes, we could probably get this done in the next month or two.
By the end of August, we're going to lunch.
Exactly. If we're getting $1 per episode, you guys do the math. We'll get back to the show.
Yeah.
So we've told you how to get thick we've told you how to get wide. These are questions I've been asking myself since I was a young man, and I discovered, no, I'm kidding. We're talking about your back. The rest of it can't be changed. So,
yes, good luck.
With that said, there's a couple things that we've discussed. Pull downs aren't what you think they are. Rows are hard, and they weren't what you think they are. But if you implement both of them, you too can have a super sick, awesome back. Where do deadlifts fall in all of this?
Well, this is one of the most argued topics when it comes to back.
Is it a leg workout or is it a back workout?
Yes. Should you do deadlifts with your back or your leg training? Does deadlifts actually work the muscles of the middle and upper back? And there's like research articles saying both.
I personally subscribe to back day as definitely only because I do, and because you've ruined my life. I think that a leg day deserves its own thing, and I think that a back day, a deadlift can be the main event of a back day without ruining the rest of my back day.
I think a traditional deadlift or a rack pull can be easily integrated into a back day if you wanted to.
Because can you do a good session of squats or lunges or whatever and also have a solid deadlift session? Can both coexist in the same workout, really?
Like, if one's going to take priority, that's for sure, if you're going to have to choose between squatting and deadlifting.
And that's why I think they should be separated. I think they both deserve their, unless you're doing like dumbbell deadlifts or like lightweight.
Well, that's completely different, and I'm glad you brought that up.
I'm glad I brought that up too.
That's training a different your deadlift in a different way. I think that a traditional deadlift or a rack pull deadlift don't necessarily train your legs in a good bodybuilding manner.
Sure.
I think they're more beneficial for using it as a back accessory than for having it be a leg builder. I'm sorry, powerlifters, you're different.
We've talked about this. The deadlift is not a good bodybuilding movement.
No.
However, with that said, asterisk, it makes you a lot better at things that do help with bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Having a really strong deadlift foundation will improve your abilities in other regards.
Yeah, like a better option would be doing like a dumbbell straight leg deadlift or a barbell straight leg deadlift.
Yeah. Or
even like a sumo deadlift. Those are all great hamstring and glute activators, but those aren't great back or leg. So those aren't great back activators.
I think it's a good example of like a muscle car that a private gets at a 27% APR. Versus like a supercar. Like a supercar, the insides are really what matters. The outside's slick, it's badass, we love it. The muscle car looks cool, but it also only costs like $30,000, and it's actually just like a nice frame put on top of the Honda Civic at the end of the day. So those other workouts you don't do them to get bigger, you do them because they make you better all around.
Well, yeah, like a normal deadlift, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So what is the difference between a deadlift and a row?
Well, so the deadlift and a barbell row are very similar. Like, they both should be set up where, especially like a straight leg deadlift and a barbell row, where you're taking the weight in the hamstrings and the glutes, not the lower back. You're in that bent over, 45-degree stretch position. But then what happens is on a row, you're dropping down and pulling your elbows back and retracting your scapula, and aiming for your hips with your hands. So what that's doing is using like your back muscles primarily, obviously. And then your deadlift, especially a straight leg deadlift, is very similar, except for you're using the hamstrings to go through your range of motion. Now, where people get a lot of, I guess, arguments about is what's going to be better for building your lats. I think they actually complement each other. I think deadlifts and rows, if you both go like similar volume, they can help you be better at each lift because you're using such a similar setup and similar stabilizers.
Well, I get a lot of flack for my ability to have calf cramps and back cramps. And usually it's funny because my hamstrings are about 1 inch long, as we know is the theme here. I do think that there's a relevancy that those complement each other because having a powerful posterior chain goes from foot to back. Like, it goes all the way up and down. So if you
to your neck,
if you want the strength being, because if you have a really strong upper side and your hamstrings suck, like, you're disbalanced.
Right.
And what's going to give that to you? The deadlift, straight leg, all that stuff. It's not necessarily a bad thing to have a hamstring workout in the middle of your back workout because it seems counterintuitive. It's like, that's part of the leg. Well, yeah, the back of your leg
Yeah.
If you think about it that way.
A lot of people even pair those muscle groups together. I've done that myself. I've had clients do it. I don't do it right now, but I know it's a viable option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and knock it down to the deadlift can exist in a leg day. It can exist in the back day.
Yeah.
But we welcome it to the back day because it complements it.
Yeah, if that fits your routine and it's like, you know what, I'm trying to do more for my legs or more for my back, then yeah, it's a great addition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I'm still swearing that the deadlifts belong on back day. Anyone can disagree with me. Wes can disagree with me 50% of the time, but that's 50% of the time he agrees with me. So
Yes,
we're going to
that's
call that
true.
a win on my part.
That's a win.
It's still an F, but that's still pretty good. So another thing, this is we're getting to just the versus round.
Yes.
Pull-ups and pull-downs, which is one of my favorite things. It's a lot like the squat versus leg press.
Right.
And I'm one of these guys, like,
comparison.
your boy can do some pull-downs.
Yeah.
And then my pull-up ability fluctuates so much with if I'm having like a fat year or a skinny year. Like if I like during coronavirus, like, wow, I suddenly can't do pull-ups. Now I'm starting to do pull-ups again. It's like, oh yeah, it's because like my weight to muscle distribution is now a little bit less stupid.
It definitely plays a role.
Most people who are okay, let me actually put it this way. Anyone who's good at pull-ups is great at pull-downs. Not everyone's good at pull-downs is good at pull-ups.
Relative to their weight, yes.
Relative to you're right. You're fair. Because if they weigh like 100 pounds,
You're not going to be pulling down like the 180s on the pull down.
that's fair, damn. Because now you don't think you have the presidential fitness test. That one kid who would like roll up, everyone else is like having a terrible time. And, like,
Yeah.
freaking hate it here.
Knocking out 24
Like,
pull-ups.
Thanks, Reagan, for making this. I don't even know. I think it's George Bush, but the
Wasn't it Clinton? I thought it was Clinton.
one of those guys.
Yeah.
Presidential wanting us not to be fat and obese. Now it's actually kind of a crisis.
Yeah.
Please stop being fat. If we get attacked by China, we're screwed. But there's always that kid who could just knock out like 100 pull-ups, and then like I was like a chubby kid, and I just go up there and like you wiggle on the bar like, and then you fall down.
Kick your feet.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, great job, and it's just like it wasn't, but thank you.
Yeah.
So so relative to your weight.
Yeah.
Most of the people who can do a lot of pull-ups are probably pretty good at pull-downs, but I know a lot of people that could do hella pull-downs and could maybe do one pull-up,
Right.
and like the Marine Corps wouldn't count it.
No, they definitely wouldn't. Count.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. It's just like you can do 1,000 pounds on the leg press, but can you squat 3 plates?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Almost certainly not.
Yeah, so you're right. That's a great comparison. I think they're both necessary for different things. Like I think a pull up is awesome as a strength builder.
Yep.
And I think it's awesome for building total body fitness and stability and core. It actually hits your abs super hard. Like,
it does,
hits your
actually.
abs a lot. And I think the only thing it lacks is you can't take it to exhaustion level as much as you can a pull down because you can control the weight. Once
Yes.
you're done doing pull-ups, you're done doing pull-ups. Where on a pull-down machine, you can take the set a lot further.
Yeah, no,
the
I think I can't even. I think that's exactly what the thing is. It's like it's funny because you see these guys sometimes because like once you get like really good at pull-ups, you start seeing people like throwing like 45s under their waist and stuff, and then those guys, it's like, okay, you guys are having a separate discussion because their
Even
weight
on that,
controls.
I would say it's not the same. Like,
No?
I feel like the fatigue from a pull-up is more like a strength, central nervous system fatigue, where a strength from the fatigue from a pull down. Because you see me, I strap
Yeah.
45-pound plates to me and I do pull-ups.
Humble brag.
But yes, on a pull down, the fatigue is more like metabolic and like burnout.
Yeah, well, I think about it this way. You know how I like would say like if I had to get rid of any core lift, or I only keep one core lift, I'm taking the deadlift.
Yeah.
I almost have the same thought on the pull up.
Yeah.
It's like if I had to get rid of all the back workouts,
Yeah.
sans deadlift or whatever, I would say like the pull up should be the one that you keep because like it's the most functional and it's the most broad, I suppose. That's what I mean. Like there's plenty of arguments for other things.
Yeah.
But it just makes the most sense to me, especially if you do like different hand grips, things like that. But you are right. The pull down has more bodybuilding
Yeah.
assets, potential uses, because you can bring those weights up and down so vastly. You have so many different grips you can do. You can do like one-handed, you can do two-handed. It's just it's all
Palms
over the
up,
place.
palms- yeah,
exactly.
There's a million variations of it. I think that one of the things people should consider when training their back, and this is a huge pro tip, is you should be doing your pull-up sets and your rowing sets to failure and exhaustion first and prioritize those in intensity, and then you should finish with your cable rows and your cable pull downs.
Yeah. Well, cables, I feel like, should always be last. If you're starting with cables, I feel like... Am I wrong for saying that? Because I feel like every time I see someone start a workout with cables, I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Unless it's a activation, I think you're right.
Yeah, warming up different.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, if you want to do some things, I gotta warm my chest up, cable. Yeah, that works for me. You're taking up a piece of equipment to warm up. I don't really like that. I don't love that for you. There's other ways to do it.
Yeah.
But if you, I've straight up seen this, and I blame the not Tybo, no, what are they called? The fucking machine that you do at your house that has all the cables.
Oh, the Bowflex.
Yeah. Bowflex, and then there's this new one that's like a mirror panel that has like cables. It has like some really buff guys. Like, 75 pounds of resistance is plenty. Shut up.
Yeah.
You're lying.
It's so funny.
But yeah, those, like, I'll see some person and they'll be like, cool, I'm gonna go ahead and go do some flies right now. It's like, we haven't done anything yet. Like, you went to dumbbells, barbell, like, we haven't done the things yet.
Yeah.
We're not there. That's just that's my take.
No, I completely agree. It should, people who are like having their regular pull downs as their biggest, most important set of their back day, I think you're missing the point.
And it's funny because I was able to avoid that concept zone because my back day, I do deadlifts, so I'm always going to do I can do whatever I want after deadlifts. I did my big thing. But then what you did, you're like, okay, cool, you can do your deadlifts, you can not do your deadlifts, but we're going to do rows. We're going to do rack pulls. And I was like, oh, these all suck, but they're good for me, but now I hate my life. But I think that's how I was avoiding it for a long time because I would never start with a cable, but I definitely wasn't helping my back.
Right.
So...
Yeah. Well, it comes with experience, that's...
We're all learning.
Yeah.
We're becoming better people.
Yes.
So, pull-ups, functional fitness, good for you, make you strong.
Yes.
In a less fun vein of things, you should be able to do like 3 or 4 pull-ups so that you don't die. There's going to be a situation one day where you might be like, you fall off of something. And
you have to climb up, from escaping the zombies.
Exactly. It always goes back to zombies. That's the only way to get overweight people to do anything. It's like, take it back to zombies.
So, like, what are you going to do when they're chasing you and you have to climb over that wall?
It is so funny you say the zombies. That is actually, like, every time I've, like, worked at some place, somebody's always like, yeah, so I'm doing the Captain America Marvel workout. I'm doing the Walking Dead cardio workout. It's just like, okay, like, whatever helps.
Whatever gets you through.
Yeah, if you can't do a pull-up, even if you don't care about strength training at all, do a pull-up. Go learn how to do a pull-up. You'll save your life one day. Then you can send me some money because I think I owe part of you for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Your productivity is now mine.
So you can find us on Patreon. I'm just kidding. Not yet.
Not yet.
Soon.
That's our Patreon right there.
Yeah.
Prego.
Wes
is our full Patreon.
I'm our first Patreon
He's
sponsor.
paying our way, boys. So that pull-ups, functional, strong, get you from the zombies. Pull-downs...
burnout, fatigue, just creating that, like, filling in any of the gaps that your pull-ups miss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, assuming that I have a low enough body fat content to actually care about my lower back.
Yeah. Well,
you should care about your lower back no matter
for
what.
health and safety and, stuff like that. But
Look at me. Don't look at him. Lose some weight. I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
How do you actually do that? Because I feel like that is... hard. For some reason, the only thing my mind thinks of, and this is like a weird thing that got stuck in my brain when I was like 17, is like good mornings.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only thing I think is like lower back, like good mornings. Maybe like that thing where you sit on like the pad and you like lift up.
That one's probably the most popular, the hyperextension machine for lower back. That one directly targets it, which, is useful. What I do is I use that machine for people who feel their lower back on leg and ab exercises because their lower back is so weak that their other muscles are compensating and it can't keep up. So I have people do like body weight for like 2 to 3 times a week, 3 to 4 sets of 15 to 20. Something simple like that to get you started. Now, the next stage from working that is like incorporating your deadlifts, like light dumbbell deadlifts or barbell deadlifts, straight leg deadlifts, any type of deadlift, because if you do the motion correctly, your lower back is stiff and working to keep your body straight. Yeah. It's not targeting your lower back, but it's involved. And then from there, your rows and your pull-ups also, like it will, basically what happens is if your lower back is lagging, you're going to feel it on these exercises I just mentioned, and that's going to hold you from making it to the next jump in weight.
Yeah.
And until you get more conditioned by doing those other ones, those hyperextensions, then it can't really keep up. Once it's able to keep up, doing your normal exercises will strengthen it.
It's funny that I keep coming back to squat, but I do seem to feel, and this is like for my early workout too, squatting is really hard for people with weak lower backs.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like, we always say core because we wrap your core around you. But yeah, that like lower back, that place where like, you know, you get the massage on your back, that is where you're carrying a lot of your weight in a squat. If you have a job where you're standing all the time, if you have a weak lower back, you're going to have pain there. You're going to have, you know, your body's going to be resisting against you.
Yes.
And then it's been nice working out with Sly, watching him kind of develop in his squatting ability, because it's funny because he kind of like did like the lean tower Pisa all over the place while he's squatting, and like it's just slowly becoming like more and more stable,
right?
Because the muscles are building there, because your body wants to protect itself from you, frankly. Yeah. And so when you jump into things, so some people have like this, especially heavier people, have really strong legs,
right?
Deceptively strong legs, but they typically have deceptively weak backs,
right? Because like they're holding all their weight in front of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have a tendency to belt up really early because of stuff like that.
Well, it puts more strain and more fatigue on their lower back. And I mean, they actually probably have really strong lower backs. It's just not conditioned for endurance enough to like handle 4 or 5 sets of squats without getting super pumped and fatigued.
Sure.
But that just means they got to spend a few extra weeks training and doing high volume conditioning.
Yep.
And then after that, they're going to be, you know, like look at all those powerlifters out there that are fat. They have super strong backs, you know. They're supporting 1,000 pounds on their back. You know?
Exactly, they have to. You're gonna break in half.
You just have to condition it first.
You're that fat boys and girls. You have strength under you. We just have to get it moving.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So to culminate, what are your final thoughts on back? If you had to just close this out in a nice package for our future big back,
I would say
individuals.
Think of your back in 2 parts, thickness and width. Focus on your barbell and dumbbell rows and pull-ups first in your workout, then transition over to the accessory cable work that you can do at higher volume. From there, whenever you're rowing, focus on pulling elbows and hands down to the hip bone right there, chest and shoulders back. That's the biggest thing to activate your lats. Boom.
And then you just fist pump.
Yes.
Fist bump. You're at the rave. Boom.
And then eventually you're going to need French doors to get through the gym. So you're going to have to open both.
Bow, bow, bow. Yeah, so basically if you go around the back, they're usually going to have a garage door. That's how they got all the equipment in. Just ask them for that. They'll give you a key. They'll know that you're part of the big back club. Don't worry about it.
One more thing. These are my Versa straps, and I use these to hold on to the bar, pull-ups, whatever we're doing. When we train lower volume but high intensity, so that means our sets take a long time. So because of that, both of us use these straps when we lift back so that we can basically hold on to the bar for like a minute.
Exactly. And if you do the Velcro right, it also works kind of like a jock strap, but that's not the important part.
Yeah,
so
you can also slap people with them.
Exactly. Google how to use these properly.
They take practice.
We're not going to tell you right now because I do not know how the mic will deal with me doing Velcro right now, so I'm not going to deal with it.
Maybe we'll do a video in the gym.
Yes,
these days.
Exactly. Because you will be surprised how easy it is to use these incorrectly. You're looking at someone who did. So you will learn how to do it. It'll be proper. It's great for you. That's pretty much everything.
Yeah, I'm good.
As always, thank you for joining us at BNS_radio on Instagram, BNS_radio on YouTube. Check out the podcast. Follow us, like, subscribe, tell your friends. We love you.
You're welcome. Questions? Ding, bell.
Yeah.